Hare Krishna. Okay, so welcome all. We are doing the 16th chapter. Let's continue our discussions of the conversation between the Supreme Lord and Chitraketu. Yeah, Chitraketu has seen the Supreme Lord and has, after overcome his ecstasy, he has been able to speak, and he speaks some very pleasing words to the Lord, and the Lord is now replying back on this particular point. Okay, so we are at, we did this one, right? Yena prasuptam, yeah, we discussed this one. Okay, next one is 56. Yeah, let's do this. Yes, Soumya Mataji.
Hare Krishna. उभयं स्मरतः पुंसः प्रस्वापप्रतिबोधयोः अन्वेति व्यतिरिच्येत तज्ज्ञानं ब्रह्म तत्परम्.
Very nice.
If one's dreams during sleep are merely subject matters witnessed by the supersoul, how can the living entity who is different from the supersoul remember the activities of dreams? The experiences of one person cannot be understood by another. Therefore, the knower of the facts, the living entity who inquires into the incidents manifested in dreams and wakefulness, is different from the circumstantial activities. That knowing factor is Brahman. In other words, the quality of knowing belongs to the living entities and to the super soul and to the supreme soul. Thus, the living entity can also experience the activities of dreams and wakefulness. In both stages, the knower is unchanged but is qualitatively one with the supreme Brahman.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so that's the just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Hare Krishna. Sorry. Yeah. So, interestingly, Lord is making the point. We discussed about the three stages of wakefulness, swapni, and shushupti. So, in that sense, basically, the Lord is also saying that who is the real witnesser in all of these stages? It is a super soul. Even in whatever you dream of, the super soul is witnessing that you are dreaming of all of these particular things. Of course, then also when you are in the Shushupti stage also, and if you have the power to be aware during the Shushupti stage, then all the experiences that you undergo during that time and in the Turiya state, all of that is only the super soul. You cannot tell it to anybody else. Yeah, and therefore, he says, therefore, the knower of the facts, the living entity, who inquires into the incidents manifested in dreams and wakefulness is different from the circumstantial activities. Yeah, because here the body also is involved in the wakeful state, whereas in the dreaming state, it's the only the subtle body which is involved. Yeah, and therefore he says, who is that knowing factor? That knowing factor is Brahman, the all-pervading Brahman, which is present everywhere as part of the expansion of the Supreme Lord. In other words, the quality of knowing belongs to the living entity and to the Supreme Soul. We have talked about also this during the Kshetrajna chapter number 13, I think. Yeah, where the Lord talks about who are the two knowers in the body. It is the super soul and the soul. But what you are experiencing, somebody else cannot, some other soul cannot experience. But between both of you, the super soul can know what is being experienced. So that's for the real knower is Lord Krishna. Real knower is Brahman. That's why he says in both stages, the knower is unchanged, but qualitatively is one with the Supreme Brahman. Same person. And we discussed this also as part of our Ishopnishad, sorry, those who were in the Ishopnishad class. We discussed that what is real Vidya is to know, of course, that we are all super souls and there is super soul in everybody, but the over and above factor is knowing that the super soul is undivided, and he is only one, even though he's present in multiple sources. It might look as if the super soul is divided in multiple places, but the super soul is undivided. So knowing that the super soul is undivided is also part of Vidya. Yeah, because we referenced Vidya and Avidya in the previous class. That's why this particular point I'm making. Now, but in the Ishopanishad, this particular aspect, Srila Prabhupada explains what constitutes real Vidya. Is to know the Atma, the Paramatma, and most importantly, to know the Paramatma is the undivided Supreme Person. Just because he's present in every living entity doesn't mean he's got divided into millions of fragments. Yeah, that is the important part. Yeah, that's what Yashla Prabhupada also explains, that being qualitatively one with the Supreme Brahman, but quantitatively being different. Yeah, and because the living entity is Brahman in quality, yeah, which means Sat Chit Ananda, he can remember the past activities of dreams and also know the present activities of wakefulness, but he doesn't know anything beyond that, unfortunately. But super soul knows that is what the Lord is making. Okay, so let's see why he's making that particular point in the next verse. Prashant Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. यदेतद्विस्मृतं पुंसो मद्भावं भिन्नमात्मनः ततः संसार एतस्य देहाद्देहो मृतेर्मृतिः.
Very nice. Yeah.
When a living entity thinking himself different from me forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me in eternity, knowledge and bliss, his material conditional life begins. In other words, instead of identifying his interest with mine, he becomes interested in his bodily expansions like his wife, children, and material possessions. In this way, by the influence of actions, one body comes from another, and after one death, another death takes place.
So the key one which is highlighted is what happens because of forgetfulness. The soul has forgotten the super soul. And the soul has forgotten his spiritual identity of what? Of qualitative oneness with the Lord. Yeah, that is what is the, and we've discussed this on qualitative and quantitative aspects of being one. And qualitatively, how we can be one with the Lord does not mean merging, but it means one in purpose. And that's what here he says. He explains this particular aspect. And the Lord explains this aspect. He says, in other words, what does this spiritual identity of qualitative oneness means? It means that instead of identifying his interest with mine, of course, he is now referring to the forgetfulness aspect, but the qualitative oneness with the Lord is to know that my interest, the Lord's interest and my interest are one. Yeah. And what is the Lord interest in the material world?
Going back home, back to Godhead.
No, the Lord's interest. What is the Lord's interest?
To reclaim the Jivatmas.
Yes, to give an opportunity for all the jivas to go back to God. So why is preaching so important? Because it means we are aligning with the Supreme Lord. We are aligning our interests with the Lord's interest. And therefore, if we forget this, if we forget that our interest, what is the Lord's interest is our interest, if we forget this aspect and we just become involved in our bodily expansions, and all the material positions and the material enjoyment, thinking I am the body, that is where the problem becomes. That when a living entity thinking himself different from me, what happens because of that? Because of that, his material conditional life begins. And of course, the qualitative oneness with the Lord, the Lord also qualifies this aspect of Satchit Ananda here. The spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me in eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Yeah. So that is an important consideration, that if you forget this qualitative oneness with the Lord, now which means what your original constitutional position is. The original constitutional position of the Jiva is Nityera Krishna Das, eternally being a servant of Lord Krishna. Yeah, if we forget this aspect and then start to do our own thing, that's when conditional life begins. But even now, right now, when we in a conditional life start this process of identifying our interest with the Lord's or aligning our interest with the Lord's interest, That's when the material condition life ends, isn't it? Because that's when it begins, when you forget. Now that you know this and you start remembering and you start acting in your constitutional position, what happens? The spiritual unconditional life begins, or non-conditional life begins. That's the corollary here. If you don't do that, then one body comes from another, one death comes after another. Just the cycle keeps on taking again and again. And Srila Prabhupada refers to this beautiful verse by Jagadananda Pandita. This verse is Krishna Bahirmukha Hana Bhoga Vancha Kare. Because I have forgotten Krishna. Bahirmukha means I am not looking at Krishna, I am looking at other side. Jiva and Paramatma are two birds on the tree, right? We've seen this analogy earlier in the Bhagavad Gita. And when the jiva stops to look at the super soul and looks at Bahirmukha, he is looking outside. And what does looking outside mean? Bhoga vancha kare. He is desiring to enjoy himself. Bhoga vancha. Vancha is desires. And bhoga is to enjoy. Then what happens? Nikatastha Maya Tare, nearby Maya Devi is sitting. What does she? Jhapatiya dhare. Jhapatiya dhare means she just ensnares the jiva. As soon as you stop looking at Krishna and you go away from Krishna, Maya is there to catch you. The analogy also is beautifully given by our acharyas in the example of I don't know if in the good old days there was this grinding pestle. The round ones there. I don't know. Kids might not have seen definitely, but maybe as children we might have seen the grounding pestle. You have to keep rotating, and if in the center you have to keep putting the grains. Yeah. Now, interestingly, if you take the pestle out, yeah, you will see that the grains which are the center they have not got ground. But the grains who have left the center and have come out, they've become ground, isn't it? And the analogy there is that as long as you're holding Krishna in the center and you're holding to his lotus feet, you will not get ground in the Maya Devi's, as soon as you leave Krishna and you come out, thak, you are in the grind, basically. So that's the beautiful point here also that Jagannatha Pandit is making, that as soon as the Krishna Bahirmukha hua, Hana means this jiva has become a Krishna Bahirmukha and wants to enjoy sense gratification, bhoga vancha kare. Nikatastha, nearby Maya Devi is there. Nikatastha Maya Tare, Jhapatiya Dhare, it just ensnares. So that's what here says. How does this conditional life begin? Because of forgetfulness. So again, we might argue that forgetfulness comes from the Supreme Lord only. Yeah, but actually that's where the desire of the jiva also comes into the picture. The Lord gives forgetfulness and remembrance and knowledge based on the jiva's sincere desire. If the jiva sincere desire, no, I want to enjoy life, then Lord Krishna makes arrangement that way. But if your sincere desire is no, I have to serve the Supreme Lord, then the Lord makes arrangement in that particular manner. And that's what your conditional life means. Conditional life means giving up one body to accept another and undergoing death to accept death again. So even though we might think of this philosophy, Tattvamasi, you are that, but you are that from a Vaishnava perspective means you are the supreme, you are the soul qualitatively same as the super soul. That is what the Tattvamasi means. But the many common understanding is, oh, you are God. Tattvamasi, you are that supreme. You are God, but Jiva can never be God. Like that's the point here. There is heat and light in the sun. There is heat and light in the sunshine. Thus, they are both qualitatively one. So we cannot merge both of them. And that's the difference here. Then again, the whole point is this forgetfulness aspect. Now, all of these philosophies, what do? They keep making us forget our constitutional position. Therefore, you have to be really careful. And Madhvacharya here beautifully makes this point. Sarva bhinnan paratmanan vismaran samsarediha abhinnan samsmaran yati tamo nastyatra samshayah. When one thinks that the living entity is non-different in all respects from the Supreme Lord, then there is no doubt that he is in tamas. Then tama means ignorance. That's what Madhvacharya's point has to be understood in this context. Okay, let's read further. Yeah, Srinivasan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Labdveha manushin yonim jnana vijnana sambhavam atmanam yona buddhayeta na kvachit kshemamapnuyat.
Very nice.
A human being can attain perfection in life by self-realization through the Vedic literature and its practical application. This is possible especially for a human being born in India, the land of piety. A man who obtains birth in such a convenient position but does not understand his self is unable to achieve the highest perfection, even if he is exalted to life in the higher planetary systems.
So the importance of Bharata Bhumi, yeah, Bharata Bhumi te Janma. Yeah? So here, Iha, yeah? Srila Prabhupada beautifully explains Iha in this material world, and especially in this pious land of Bharatavarsha or India. So if you are born here and you are not able to make use of the cultural heritage of what the Vedic literature and its practical application, you might keep on speculating, but if you're not applying that knowledge, then it is of no use. So practical application of that spiritual knowledge is important. And if a man who has taken birth here in such a convenient position but does not understand his self, is unable to achieve the highest perfection, even if he goes to higher planetary systems, that's of no use. That's the point here. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, famous verse that we've taught the kids and we've also quote many times. Bharata bhumite hoila manushya janmayar janma sarthaka kari kara para upkar. That if you're born here, manushya janma, if you've gone in Bharata, then your janma sarthaka, you have to make your own janma sarthak, means qualified. How? By doing para upkar. What is the para upkar? What is the best para upkar? Is to take somebody out from birth, old age, disease, and death. Isn't it? That's the ultimate, right, that you can do for anybody. Isn't it? You might think, oh, let me solve his money problem, let me solve his injury problem, but they are all like just, surface level. The real root cause is to give him liberation or allow him to understand that he's suffering because of not remembering his constitutional position. So when you do, so what is the best paropkar you can do to anybody? Is to preach to him, is to give him this knowledge, is to give him a book, give him tell him to do japa, tell him so many things. You can do all of that's what preaching constitutes, right? That is the real paropkar. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, why is preaching the essence? Because that is the real paropkar. That is the real, if you are really a well-wisher, if you say you're a well-wisher of your family, then as a well-wisher of your family, the real person, what will he do? He will ensure the family does not undergo a cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. And of course, we can also do it to beyond our family, to everybody. But the whole point of doing paropkar is basically preaching. Basically, of course, now like preaching means remembering also the our famous aeroplane instruction, that when oxygen masks fall, first you have to put on yourself and then you have to give to everybody. So paropkar means first your own, you have to ensure you are yourself at a particular level and then help others by doing this paropkar. Otherwise, we can keep on coming here again and again. Okay, let's read next one. Neeti Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Smratvehaayam pariklesham tatah phalviparyayam abhayam chapyanihayam sankalpa dviramet kavihi.
Very nice.
Translation: remembering the great trouble found in the field of activities performed for fruitive results and remembering how one receives the reverse of the results one desires, whether from material action or from the fruitive activities recommended in the Vedic literatures, an intelligent man should cease from the desire for fruitive actions, for by such endeavors one cannot achieve the ultimate goal of life. On the other hand, if one acts without desires for fruitive results, in other words, if one engages in devotional activities, he can achieve the highest goal of life with freedom from miserable conditions. Considering this, one should cease from material desires. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. And that's the instruction from the Lord. No, this is the Lord speaking. What is he saying? Stay away from fruitive actions. That is the point. Again, that's what he also explains in the Bhagavad Gita. It does not mean that you have to stop doing your duties. It only means that stop your duties from being fruitive, which means the result of the duties you're offering it to the Lord, or the duties themselves you are doing it for the Lord's pleasure. This is the highest goal. And if you want freedom from material conditions, then this is what needs to be done. And therefore, many of the religious systems, why do they teach the concept of control? This is why they taught it, because control of material desires is what leads to higher spiritual understanding. Okay, let's see further. What does the Lord say? Yeah, Anadi can read.
सुखाय दुःखमोक्षाय पूर्वाते दम्पतिक्रियाः ततो निवृत्तेरप्राप्तेर्दुःखस्य च सुखस्य च. As husband and wife, a man and woman plan together to attain happiness and decrease unhappiness, working jointly in many ways. But because their activities are full of desires, their activities are never a source of happiness and they never diminish distress. On the contrary, they are the cause of great unhappiness.
Hare Krishna. So such a beautiful applicable for all of us. What are we trying to do? We are trying to attain happiness on the material platform. Yeah. And that's the goal, right? Of course, everybody who gets married wants happiness and so reduces their unhappiness and thinking this will help me in doing that. But because the activities are full of desires what? For sense gratification. I want to enjoy, I want to be happy, I want to ensure I'm not unhappy. That's more problematic, right? Therefore, because these are on the material platform, they never become a source of happiness, and they ultimately degrade. In the beginning, like Srila Prabhupada, Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita the definition of what is that in the mode of passion. What is the definition of happiness in the mode of passion? It is happiness in the beginning, but in the end it becomes unhappiness. That is how. Sorry, what is that? It becomes poison. Yeah, isn't it? Those are activities in the mode of passion. Typically, that's what will happen. Activities in the mode of ignorance, they are poison in the end, beginning, poison in the end also. But activities in the mode of goodness, they are problematic in the beginning. Just like starting an exercise. You might be having, but to start the exercise and daily, continuously ensure it runs, then the real benefit comes. In the beginning, it is trouble, but in the end is very happy. So like that, activities which are now, therefore what we have to do, we have to try to find out activities which will give us a real happiness. Yeah. And therefore many times it is unfortunately because of the bodily conditioning, we are thinking, oh, marriage, it is for sense gratification. Yeah, but unfortunately that becomes an activity in the mode of passion, which means you will get happiness in the beginning, but in the end it will become poison. Yeah. But if you do it from a spiritual perspective, take even your marriage as an action for pleasing Lord Krishna, automatically that becomes, so you enter into marriage to serve Lord Krishna, not to serve your own senses. That is how the understanding of real marriage is. Okay, let's see further. What does he say? Chaya Mataji?
एवं विपर्ययं बुद्ध्वा नराणां विज्ञाभिमानिनाम् आत्मनश्च गतिं सूक्ष्मां स्थानत्रयविलक्षणां श्रुताभिर्मात्रा विनिर्मुक्तः स्वेन तेजसा ज्ञानविज्ञानसंतृप्तो मद्भक्तः पुरुषो भवेत्.
Very nice.
One should understand that the activities of persons who are proud of their material experience bring only results contradictory to those such persons conceive while awake, sleeping, and deeply sleeping. One should further understand that the spirit soul, although very difficult for the materialist to perceive, is above all these conditions, and by the strength of one's discrimination, one should give up the desire for fruitive results in the present life and in the next. Thus, becoming experienced in transcendental knowledge, one should become a devotee.
So what is the best transcendental knowledge? Divyam. What is the Divyam? Lord Krishna says in 4.19 that the best way to achieve Lord Krishna is to know about the Lord's transcendental appearance and activities. Yeah, so when we get to know this, that is what transcendental knowledge is. And how do you get to know that? By becoming Lord Krishna's devotee. So as you become more and more stronger devotee of Lord Krishna, your transcendental knowledge, depth of transcendental knowledge becomes more and more stronger, or it becomes deeper. And therefore, uh, it becomes contradictory that you will do anything at the material level. You will stop doing all of those activities and you go to the higher condition. That's what the Lord is saying. Finally, what is he saying? Become my devotee. That's what he says also in Man Mavana Bhava Madbhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuru. Yeah, so that's what here also he is consistently making the same statement. Okay, let's read further. Yeah, Santosh Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Etavan eva manujari yog मैंने पूर्ण बुद्धि भी स्वार्थ स्वरत्मना सर्वात्मना जियो यत् प्रातमे दर्शनम.
Very nice, very nice.
Persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life must expertly observe the supreme absolute person and the living entity, who are one in quality and the relationship as part and whole. This is the ultimate understanding of life. There is no better truth than this.
Beautiful, right? Persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life must expertly observe the Supreme Person and the living entity. So both needs to be understood. The Supreme Lord and the Jiva. And who are one in quality in their relationship as part and whole. Just like there's a big machine, and on that machine there are small bolts. Yeah. Now, if the bolt is removed off from the machine, then that bolt is useless. You'll replace it with it. But when the bolt is sitting on the machine with and doing its activity of helping the entire machine, then it is very valuable, isn't it? Same way, the jiva is a part and parcel of Lord Krishna. As part and whole, that's what it means. As soon as you forget Krishna, it means you're like that bolt which is removed from the machine, useless totally. You can get dime a dozen. So that way, that is the real understanding, to know that I am part and parcel of Krishna. Okay, let's see further. Prashant ji.
Hare Krishna. त्वमेतच्छ्रद्धया राजन् न प्रमत्तो वचो मम ज्ञानविज्ञानसम्पन्नो Dharayannashu siddhyasi.
Very nice.
O king, if you accept this conclusion of mine, being unattached to material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life, you will achieve the highest perfection by attaining me.
So what is the highest perfection? Is to attain Lord Krishna. How do you go there? By first being unattached to material enjoyment. Then adhering to Lord Krishna with great faith. Becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life. The practical aspect becomes very important. Yeah. And if you do this, yeah, apply all of this to your life, because finally, like we said, right, any knowledge, how does it get fulfilled? In three stages: discovery, understanding, and application, isn't it? Now, only when you apply, that is when the entire knowledge becomes consummated. Till that time, it just remains in a theoretical perspective. Therefore, practical application in life. What is the practical application? Is the framework of any religion. For Hinduism or for ISKCON, what do we follow? We follow 4 regulative principles and doing japa every day. And of course, we also add on to help our japa is deity worship, reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, doing dham visits. All of these, what they should help in following 4 regulative principles and in doing your japa nicely. That is the practical application. We study in school also, right? We study chemistry from a textbook, and then you go to the lab, right? And then the lab, you sit and do the experiment, and you really understand, oh, this is how it works. This is what was written in the theory. This is now I'm seeing in practical. Same way, practical for our lives is following 4 regulative principles and doing japa every day. And that is the practical aspect, application of all of this understanding that we are trying to. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's stop here. We are out of time. Any quick comments or thoughts to what the Lord is saying to all of us? Yeah, Prashant, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, the 59th verse, Bhagavan asks us to leave fruitive activities, whether it's material or recommended in the Vedic literatures. It is very similar to the second opening shloka, the Abhideya Dharma Projita Kaitavo Adra. I was telling Shaunaka. So this explains the authenticity. So there is no questioning any verse in the Bhagavatam.
Very nice. Very nice.
What is being repeated by Bhagavan, they are feeding
Also
us like
repeated in
baby.
Exactly. And in the disciplic succession, basically, it comes in. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, Srinivasan Prabhu had a point.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. With the background of Chitraketu having got the instruction from Narada Muni, and he has done the prayers to the Lord for 7 nights and days, and he has become a devotee, and he is able to see Lord now, and the Lord is instructing him, though in this stage Chitraketu is not yet attained him, basically. The Lord is giving him the instructions because he is Chitraketu is dear to him, because he is shown the devotion in the true sense.
Actually, the Lord contradicts with this understanding. Because if you see, the Lord himself says that because you have seen me now, you have attained perfection, actually speaking. And you attained perfection in some shlokas prior we saw. The Lord says that why have you attained perfection? Because you have followed the instruction of Narada Muni very nicely. You follow the instruction of your Guru very nicely. Yeah. So the end and the means here are one and the same. That how do you attain perfection? By seeing the Lord. Yeah. And when the Lord says you attain perfection, it means basically because you have followed the instructions of trying to attain, of seeing the Lord, you have attained this perfection. That is what is the point here. So by seeing the Lord itself, he has basically attained this perfection. But here he is now, actually, this is more for everybody else rather than for Chitraketu. Like the Lord does for, every other instruction that he gives in the Bhagavad Gita also. What is that? Like Arjuna is the, Krishna is the Dogda. And Arjuna is the, the one who is drinking the milk. Yeah. And same way, we are also like in that sense getting this particular benefit of the milk, which the Lord is, doing, is milking the cow of the scriptures. And that's what he is doing here also, even though Chitraketu does not need all of these particular instructions because he's already seen the Lord, which means he's attained perfection, basically. But still the Lord goes ahead, does this talk so that everybody else can get benefited also. Yeah, that's the answer. Because here, even though it might seem as if the Lord is saying that you will achieve highest perfection by attaining me, in the previous set of verses already told you attained perfection because you followed the instructions of Narada Muni.
Prabhuji, one more doubt in 57th shloka. The word in the translation is saying begins. The conditioned life begins. So is that the way?
Because of Vismrutam. Okay.
That begins is there in the Sanskrit word because conditioned life is always eternal, isn't it, Prabhuji? Like it is there in
conditioned life is not
always.
samsaraha, is not eternal. Conditioned life is not eternal at all because your karma is never eternal. So as long as you have no karmic reactions, you are not in conditional life. That is the state when you come to your constitutional position. Yeah. So therefore, there is a beginning to this particular. Of course, for us, because it has happened such a long time ago, it's as good as being eternal. It's as good as being eternal, but it is not. There is a beginning of that particular life. When is that beginning? As soon as Vismrute, as soon as you forgot Lord Krishna, Vismrute. And there might be as many beginnings as many times you forget Krishna. And your previous forgetfulness and remembering back to Krishna will be multiple lifetimes or maybe multiple universes of Brahma together. Spending time in multiple universes of Brahma. And then you remember the Lord, then again it starts. Then but typically the understanding is once bitten, twice shy. Once the jiva knows, oh, if I forget Lord Krishna, then I have to go through all of this samsara chakra, he will probably not do the same mistake again. Yeah, it's like if you have really reformed yourself in jail, then the prisoner does not do the same mistake again, which it lands him in jail again, right? If he's intelligent. If he's not, if he's prone to crime, if his whatever his set of senses are so strong that he wants to keep doing the same thing, same crime again and again, then he keeps landing in jail again and again, basically. So every jail term, beginning of the jail term is a beginning, right? Isn't it? In that, so Vismrute is the beginning.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
The same will be gone for the Vismrute means the Lord is said in Bhagavad Gita that he gives the chance to Yogo Bhrashta, that Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe. So even if, I mean, he is not in the suffering condition because he's full of Shuchi, I mean, opulence and everything is so established for him. So in such a situation, isn't it more hard to uh, keep the smriti of the previous whatever he gained the spiritual um, because the point of smriti is mentioned here.
No, but the point also is the point is the Lord is the one who grants Vismriti. Yeah. And that is basically dependent on the jiva's position. The jiva wants that Vismriti, he wants new and new life and new desires to enjoy. Therefore, the Lord grants that. So finally, the Vismriti, even though the jiva desires it, actually gets granted by the Lord. Yeah. So in that sense, there might be, one might argue that, oh, I forgot the Lord because the Lord has, no, the Lord gave you the Vismriti because you desired it, first of all. So the desire comes first, then the Vismriti comes. Yeah. Yeah, Prashant Prabhuji, sorry, go ahead.
Even in that Virat Purusha, I forgot that canto. Sutta Goswami or Shukadeva explains that even to the embryo, the forgetfulness is given because in those conditions, the embryo will not want to continue. Uh,
Mhm.
because between the pus, blood, and urine and all, the
Correct.
embryo is
Yeah.
developing. So if forgetfulness is not given, the embryo will not want to continue to that birth. But because it desired such a birth, he is giving forgetfulness at every stage so that we go and enjoy. Just like we give this example to children when we take them to a video game parlor, we don't want them to spend time there, but we make them forget their exams and take them there temporarily. So it's for their desire only we are taking them there. We don't want them to get spoiled in video games and all. So like that, Shukadeva gives this example where those conditions embryo will not survive, but because Bhagavan is merciful, he temporarily makes them forget to go through that life. So probably it is that sort of a forget.
Yeah, it's the Jantu Vacha.
Uh,
Third canto. Yeah, we read that in the embryo speaks or the embryo talks. Yeah, correct. Yeah, very nice analogy, Prabhu. Yeah, Nidhi Mataji had a point.
Yeah, Prabhuji, like in the first canto also, there is when Arjun is trying to bring all the 16,000 Ranis of Krishna Bhagwan, and then he forgets, how to fight with the that person like Krishna Bhagwan only, who is trying to take all the Ranis as in kidnap them. So he forgets how to fight. So that is also because of Bhagwan only, because he forgets how to fight, because initially he knows he wins every battle, but then it is because God doesn't want him to win, because he had that ahem and ego that I am the superior. So he wants to break his ego, and he wants him to forget temporarily that he knows how to fight battles and how to win. So
Correct.
in
To
that
remember, yeah.
also, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Yes, so Smriti coming from the Lord again. That's the point, Nidhi Mataji is making. Hare Krishna.
One more doubt or some understanding in the same shloka, the oneness is mentioned here. I think in Purport Prabhupada is also said to becoming one, that concept with the Lord, how it is uh, not good for the jiva, or how it is taking him away. So the concept of Mayavad, is that what is mentioned here through this explanation, that becoming one with the Lord, is the Prabhupada is saying about
Yeah, becoming one with the Lord is wanting to become Lord, right? It's the jiva is thinking that I want to become master, and therefore that is again Maya. Because because when he wants to become God, he's actually forgetting his constitutional position. He's not God. But if he thinks I want to become God, then it's again this is so as soon as the living entity forgets and endeavors to become one with the supreme, his conditional life begins. So one here, one as in the Mayavadi one, not the one in purpose. That's the difference to understand here. Because he says in the next line, the conception that Supreme Brahman, the living entity, are equal, not only in quality but in quantity, is the cause of conditional life. Because the Jiva thinks I am the enjoyer. If every Jiva thinks I am God, that's what is happening only, right? Because everybody is thinking I am God, he's wanting to create his own universe. And he's creating his own set of karmic reactions because of that, because because he doesn't know that he's not God. Isn't it? Finally, what does God? Why is the modern education trying to make everybody leaders? Why? Because the concept is you are God. You can do whatever you want. Your feelings are important. You are important. Blah blah, all of that. Isn't it? So finally, it is all coming to the point of I am the enjoyer. Now, why does one want to become God? Because he wants to enjoy, saying, "Oh, the Lord is enjoying. I also want to enjoy." Like that.
And the concept of Vibhu, I mean, Anu and Vibhu, that point has to be corrected. Instead of that, the Jiva thinks, or the Mayavadi concept, they thinks the Jiva also is Vibhu. as equal as the Lord in quantity also. As soon as he merges, he becomes that. So this oneness, I think, is the what is problematic is mentioned.
Yeah, is another cause of this particular conditional life. Hare Krishna. Oh, two more comments. Okay. Yeah, Srinivasan Prabhu, go ahead.
Probably Niti Mataji first raised her hand.
Oh, okay, she is. Okay, yeah, Niti Mataji, go ahead.
No, Prabhuji, I just wanted to relate Ravan, who was so knowledgeable and so he was a profound in very knowledgeable in all the Vedic literatures. But when he tried to compete with Lord Ram, his suffering started. So that is when actually we can say that his conditional life started when he
Exactly.
started to that feeling inside him came that no, I have to defeat Lord Ram. So he was trying to be God himself.
Exactly. We all have that same propensity, unfortunately. Yeah, very nice, Mataji. Yeah, Srinivasan Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, probably even in Goloka Vrindavan, when the devotees attained the abode of Lord Krishna, and then we have seen in the past that they all also look like the Lord
Krishna.
himself. And then
Sarupya.
even in that, the Jivatmas will have to be in eternal devotional service to the Lord.
Yeah, definitely.
At the same time, the Maya will be sitting by their side.
By the side.
Yes, but the Maya would not be probably snaring at them.
Yes.
So, but that knowledge of that Maya is there with them. So there is a chance that they forget. So
Exactly.
they become they get into the conditioned life. And
Yes.
so that knowledge is prevalent always, even in
correct. And maybe the Lord gives some of the forgetfulness to some of these advanced devotees so that they come to the material world and help other jivas, basically. That also is possible. So, because the root question still remains that in the spiritual world, how can forgetfulness come? If the spiritual world is so perfect. But that's the whole point. That's where the free will still remains with the jiva, even in the spiritual world. That the Lord never takes away. Because you have to be in love with the Lord voluntarily. There is no force. And that's the entry, basically. That's the entry criteria.
That's the envy part, right? I mean.
Yeah, in the sense, it's the envy part, yeah.
Sorry, Prabhuji, in the Bruce Almighty, one thing is completely agreeable. Morgan Freeman, when he comes as God, he will give him all benefits. You can do whatever, but you cannot make somebody love you. So he will tell that's the only catch. Anything else is possible, but you cannot force somebody to love you. So that is
you cannot make exactly.
Even
I mean, in that movie, right? What is the movie name?
Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty. Very nice. Yeah. In that he makes this. He cannot.
We found that at least some spiritual knowledge is there somewhere, even in Hollywood or.
This is the Lord. Even I don't have the power to make to love
God
you.
himself will tell. You cannot make somebody love.
So that's the jiva's voluntary loving aspect. That's what makes it love, right? Otherwise, it becomes force.
Yeah, even in Aladdin, the genie tells Aladdin that I cannot make her love you.
Very nice. Hare Krishna. Okay, good. Interesting discussion. Let's close the day with closing prayers. Yes, Soumya Mataji can do closing prayers.
Hare Krishna. अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विताः मच्चित्ता मत्तः बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते तेषामेव अनुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्तो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वताम् अहमेवासमेवाग्रे नान्यत् यत् सदसत्परं पश्चादहं यदेतच्च योऽवशिष्येत सोऽस्म्यहम् ऋते अर्थं यत् प्रतीयेत न प्रतीयेत चात्मनि तद्विद्यातात्मनो मायां यथा भासो यथा तमः यथा महान्ति भूतानि भूतेषु चावचेष्वनो प्रविष्टान्यप्रविष्टानि तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम् एतावदेव जिज्ञास्यं तत्त्वजिज्ञासुनात्मनः अन्वयव्यतिरेकाभ्यां यत् स्यात् सर्वत्र सर्वदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण
Hare
थैंक यू
Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण